everyone, welcome back to Pabbly Connect. So in today's video we will learn how to create and enroll user in Thinkific course from Google Sheets. So now let's say that every time a user enrolls in a specific course, the details are added here in Google Sheets. And after the details are added here, with the same details received, I wish to create and enroll this user in a specific course in Thinkific. So now how I will set up this integration? For that, we will be using Pabbly Connect, where a trigger application will be Google Sheets and an action application will be Thinkific. So to learn how we set up this integration, follow me through the screen. In this video, we will learn how to create and enroll user in Thinkific course from Google Sheets. Let's say that every time a user enrolls in a specific course, the details are added to my spreadsheet. Now every time the details are added here, so automatically with the received details, I wish to create a user in Thinkific and enroll in the specific course. So to automate and integrate this entire process, I will sign in to my Pabbly Connect account. But if you are a new user, you can click on the sign up for free button. And at the time of account creation, you will get 100 tasks for free. So as an existing user, I will sign in. This is the all applications page by Pabbly Connect. So we will go to Pabbly Connect and click on access now to reach our dashboard. Now we have arrived on a dashboard and these are some existing workflows that were created before. But to create a new workflow, you need to click on this create workflow button on the right hand side. And now in this dialog box appearing, you need to give your workflow a name. I have named it as create and enroll user in Thinkific course from Google Sheets. Now I will click on create. So now we have arrived on a very important window which consists of trigger and action. So trigger and action are the two most important principles of Pabbly Connect to perform any automation or integration. So trigger says when this happens, action says do this. Trigger says when this happens, action says do this. So basically action is the response of your trigger application. Now moving on to the trigger window, as a title suggests, that is to create and enroll user in Thinkific course from Google Sheets. So over here in my trigger window, I will be selecting the trigger application as Google Sheets and here it is. After selecting the trigger application, now moving to the trigger event, that will be new or updated spreadsheet row. That means it will trigger whenever a new spreadsheet row will be added or updated. Now you can see a webhook URL is given and along with that a help desk is also given, so read it carefully. This webhook URL will act as a bridge to connect Google Sheets with Pabbly Connect. So let me take you to my spreadsheet. So now we need to connect the spreadsheet with Pabbly Connect. So now I will go to extensions. So if you don't have the Pabbly Connect webhooks extension, you can simply go to add-ons and in the search bar you can search over here for Pabbly Connect webhooks. Here it is. And you can see that I have already installed it. So I will close this. Going back again to extensions, I will go to Pabbly Connect webhooks and go to the initial setup. So with the initial setup, this will help us to integrate Pabbly Connect with Google Sheets. So over here, it is asking for a webhook URL and a trigger column. So we will get the webhook URL from Pabbly Connect. Over here it is. And now I will copy it and I will paste it over here. Now moving to the trigger column. So the trigger column will be a final data column. So in my spreadsheet, you can see that E is the final column over here. So I will be selecting E over here. So that means it will capture the data till E column. So E will be my trigger column and now I will click on submit. So you can see that the setup is configured successfully. Now I will close this and I will refresh this once. So now again, I will go back to extensions. Going back to Pabbly Connect webhooks, I will click on send on event. That means now whenever a new row will be added or updated, then automatically the response will be sent. So now I will click on send on event and it's done. So now over here, I will fill in these details like first name, last name, email, phone and the course. So over here, let me fill in the details. So now I have filled in the dummy details. The first name goes as sample, the last name goes as student and the email is sample@pabblytudes.com along with a dummy phone number and the course as PHP course for beginners 8 weeks. So now let us go back to Pabbly Connect to see the captured response. So here you can see that the response is received and we have selected the trigger column E, so it is visible to us over here along with the spreadsheet name, spreadsheet ID and the sheet name. Moving to other details like the first name, last name, phone, email, and the course is also captured successfully. So the first step of our automation is done, which was connecting Google Sheets and Pabbly Connect to capture the data automatically over here. So now onwards, every time a new row will be added in the spreadsheet, this trigger will instantly capture new incoming data and the workflow execution will start in real time. But there is a problem with this approach. Why? Because I have created this automation in the way that whenever a new row is added, the data should be captured in Pabbly Connect. But I am creating this automation for a specific course, that is PHP for beginners 8 weeks. So okay, let me show you the course. So this is the specific course over here in Thinkific. Basically, I am creating this automation for this particular course only. So okay, I will have to define somewhere in my automation that this automation should work only for users. So okay, I will have to define somewhere in my automation that this automation should only work for PHP course for beginners 8 weeks and not for other courses or the users who have enrolled for other courses than this. So now it is possible with Pabbly Connect to put such condition over here. So for that, we will need to click on this add action step. And now over here in the action application, I will be using filter by Pabbly. So this is the feature of Pabbly Connect, which will help you to apply different kind of conditions within your automation. So in this select label, you will find the above data which we have just captured from Google Sheets. So here I will search for course name and here it is. I have selected it. So now I want that whenever the course name is equal to PHP course for beginners 8 weeks, then only this automation should proceed further. And this is going to be defined via this condition. So let us click on the save and send test request button to see the response. So let's click on save and send test request. So if the condition is true, this automation will proceed further. And in the case if it says fail, then this automation will not proceed further. So let me click on this. And now over here you can see the status is success and the messages condition is true. So that means this automation will proceed ahead. So moving further, my objective was to create a user in Thinkific and to enroll the same user in the Thinkific course. But here I'll firstly check whether this particular person whose details are captured is already a user in Thinkific or not. So how I'm going to check it? So basically I'm going to search in Thinkific by using the specific email ID. So now how I will do that? For that, I will click on this add action step and now I will be searching here for Thinkific. Here it is. I will go to the action event and select as search user. Here it is. So now I need to connect Thinkific with Pabbly Connect. I will click on connect. And if you have an existing connection, you can go with the same or you can simply add a new connection and click on connect. And over here, it is asking for a subdomain. So you can find the subdomain in settings under code and analytics section. So now let me take you to my Thinkific account. Over here in settings, you can see here in code and analytics, you can see the subdomain is given. It is also mentioned in the URL. So you can copy it from there as well. So I'm copying it from the above given URL. I've copied it, moving back to Pabbly Connect, and I have pasted over here. So as I already have an existing connection with Thinkific, so I will go with the same. But if you want to add a new connection, so you can follow this process. So now I will go with the existing connection and click on save. So now you can see it is connected. Now it is asking that by which particular thing you would like to search this user. So here you will notice in the drop down, you will find multiple options. So currently I only have the email address. So I am selecting that. Now moving to search value. So that will be the email address. And the interesting thing is that I'm not going to manually copy the email ID from the above response that we have received, because if I will manually provide this ID, then for every user, same ID will be searched. So I want that my automation should work in real time. In that case, you will have to map the values, and mapping is very simple. Simply click on this field and now go to the response that you have received over here. So now, okay, this is the email of the user whose details are captured for the PHP course for beginners. So I'm mapping this above. So here right now, I'm searching whether this person is already a part of Thinkific or not. Here I have mapped it successfully. So why I have used mapping here? Because whatever the details you will map in this field, these details will be replaced automatically when the automation will work in real time. So over here, I'm leaving this page empty and you can read that the default page value is 1. I am keeping it blank as of now, and I'm going to click on save and send test request to see whether this user already exists or not. So here you can see that we have received the ID and the email ID. That means this user is an existing user in Thinkific. So currently we have two cases in front of us. The first case is when the item ID already exists. That means the user already exists in Thinkific. And the second case is that the item ID does not exist. And in these two cases, I want to perform my automation in different ways. So in first case, if the user already exists, so I want to directly enroll the user to the course. And if the user does not exist, so firstly, I would want to create the user to Thinkific and further enroll the user into the same course. So this is how I want to execute my automation. So now simply I will click on this plus button, and here to set up multiple conditions at one time, we will be using router by Pabbly. So now I will just rename these routers. So now I have renamed the route as user exists already, and now I will click on update. And now moving to route 2, over here I'm renaming it again by the name of user doesn't exist. So I will click on update. So over here, if the user already exists, then in the select label, I will be mapping the item ID from the response received, and over here in the filter type, I want to select it as exist. So now I will click on save and send test request to see the response. So here you can see that the status is success and the messages condition is true. That means this user already exists in Thinkific. So now what I want is that this is an existing user. Then simply I want to enroll this user in Thinkific. So I will write Thinkific here and click on this. And now selecting the action event, that will be to enroll user. So I am selecting enroll user. Now I will click on connect. So now you can see that we have already used Thinkific before in this workflow. So we don't have to add a new connection. We can go with the existing connection. So I'm clicking on save. And over here, now we need to mention these fields. That is like the course. So over here, the course is PHP course for beginners. I've selected that. So moving to user ID. So instead of selecting from this drop down, I will map it simply. So I'm removing this user ID from here, and I will map it from the response. That is this ID, and I've mapped it. So now if you want to give the activated date and the expiry date, you can go ahead with that as well. But as of now, I will simply click on save and send test request. So over here, you can see in the response that the ID is created. You can see the mail ID and you can see the username along with some other details. So let me take you to my Thinkific account. And now we need to search for a user by the email ID of sample. So here it is. So you can see this is the student, and now I will click on this enrollment. So now you can see that this user is enrolled successfully for PHP course for beginners 8 weeks. So now moving back to Pabbly Connect, we will just close this. And now going to this user does not exist step. So what I will do is I will again go to the set filter action steps, and over here in filter select label, I will be mapping the item ID over here, and then I will click on does not exist. And after clicking on save and send test request, let's see the response. So over here, you can see the status shows as error and the message is false. That means that this user is already existing. So now what I will do is I will go ahead with this step, but we don't have to worry about this right now because when in real time this automation will run, so it will even out. So over here, let us go ahead with it. And once we complete these steps, I will show you how it will work in real time as well. So now as this user does not exist, so now that this user does not exist, so over here in Thinkific, first I want to create this user. So over here in the action event, I will go to create user and click on that. So over here in Thinkific, as this user does not exist, I want to create a user firstly. So I will click on connect and go with the existing connection. So now over here, I need to map these details. Instead of entering it manually, I will use mapping. So I will map the first name received from the response only. And here the first name is sample. Last name will be mapped as student. And now moving on to the mail ID, we will map it again from the response we have received. And as of now, I don't want to mention these details, so I'm keeping it blank as they are not mandatory. So over here, we have received the phone number as well. So I am mapping the phone number as well. So it is mapped, and now I will click on save and send test request. So here also you can see that has already been taken. So that means this user is already existing. That is why over here the value is shown as that has already been taken. But when in real time a user who does not exist in Thinkific, then you will see these fields will be changed automatically. So now let us move to our next step, that is the enrollment step. And over here, I will search for Thinkific once again, go to the action event, and over here search for enroll and click on connect. And now going with the existing connection. So now over here, these are the fields that we have to fill in. So selecting the course as PHP course for beginners 8 weeks. And again, I will map the user ID from the response. So I will remove this and I will be mapping the user ID. Here it is. And I'm not mentioning the activated date or expiry date. So I will simply click on save and send test request. So here you can see that this user is already enrolled. That is why we have got the details over here of enrollment. So now let us make this workflow run in real time. So what I will do is, in my Google Sheets trigger, I will recapture the webhook response and click on yes. And now you can see it is waiting for response. I will go to my spreadsheet and over here I will fill in the details. So over here you can see I filled in the details that goes as smart user, smartest user, pabblytunes.com along with the phone number and course. So I will go to Pabbly Connect. And now I will just click on this refresh button. So now you can see in the captured response over here, the details that we have just filled in are visible to us. So the first name is smartest and the last name is user. Selected the course as PHP course for beginners 8 weeks. And this is the email ID. So now over here, we will go to router by Pabbly and we will go to the user doesn't exist router. So over here, you can see in the filter that the user does not exist. And now in these details, like where we were creating the user in Thinkific, so you can see that the details are mapped automatically. And now let us check the response received. So you can see the first name as smartest user and the full name along with the email ID, and the ID is also generated for this user. So that means this user is successfully created in Thinkific. Now moving on to Thinkific enroll user step. So here in user ID, I will just check whether this ID is the same ID that we have received in our above step. So over here it is 181890852 and tallying it over here. So these are not the same IDs. So what I will do is I will simply map it from the response that I have received. And now I will click on save and send test request. So over here you can see that the ID is generated and the user email along with the username, and you can see that it is now enrolled in this course which is going by the name of PHP course for beginners 8 weeks. And now I will take you to my Thinkific account, and now over here in users, and now over here you can see that this user is created by the name of smartest user. Over here is the email, and let us go to enrollments. And you can see that this user is successfully enrolled for the PHP course for beginners 8 weeks course. That means this integration and automation was successful. Not just these applications, you can integrate a lot more applications with the help of Pabbly Connect. So if you have any doubts regarding Pabbly, reach us at support@pabbly.com. And if you have any queries, you can visit us at forum.pabbly.com. If you have any pricing related query, you can visit this link. So if you like this video, please share it with your friends and colleagues, and do not forget to like, share and subscribe our channel.